Welcome back to ALEC TV here on the third day of the States and the Nation Policy Summit in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm Tom McLaughlin, and I'm joined now by Arizona Senator Vince Leach. How you doing today?
Doing great. Being in Arizona,
Right.
being in my home state, or not my home state, but my adopted state, it's great. And welcome to ALEC to Arizona.
Hey, we love it here. It's been a great conference so far. So you're kind of double dipping with us here in the last couple of weeks. I just talked to you in Santa Barbara for the Tax Academy, and that was really something. It was a great time to kind of sit down and talk with a small group of legislators and leaders.
Right.
And now
Right.
you're here at the Tax and Fiscal Policy Task Force here at the States and Nation Policy Summit. So what does that mean to you? What are you learning about, and how does that help you as a legislator?
Well, I think just to back up for a second, I think the responsibility that I take, and I think of other legislators, but I can speak of myself, is that my constituents want me to be as versed in as many topics as possible. You can't know everything there is to know about everything, but you can certainly avail yourself to resources that are available through ALEC, through other organizations that explore, test, and maybe come up with some good ideas, and do come up with good ideas that we can carry back. I could have stayed home those 2 weeks and done something else, but I wouldn't be exposed to what ALEC is doing. But even more importantly, is not what ALEC is doing, it's what other members from across the country, the ideas that they're bringing to say, this kind of worked. It would have worked better if we would have done this.
Right.
Or they could say, Vince, don't do this because it just didn't work. And that goes across the whole breadth of topics here, from health to education, obviously tax policy, pensions are a big thing right now. That we really have to look at. So it's getting a base and expanding that base of knowledge.
Absolutely. So is there something that you're learning here, either over the past week or here at the meeting, that you're bringing back to your state, or that you're learning from other legislators?
I think the thing, because I'm focused, my subcommittee that I'm chair of is public pensions.
Oh wow!
And the need, and public pensions are more and more going to be coming into the focal point across America because of the unfunded liabilities. Arizona has, for us, a large number, $27 billion in unfunded liabilities.
Wow.
That is a lot of money, but comparing it to an Illinois or a New York or a California, it's minuscule. But you have to remember, that's a billion.
Right.
$27 billion on a general fund budget of $11 billion a year.
On its face, that's just a ridiculous number. How do you contend with something like that?
Well, you try to work with those that are in the system and go from what's called a defined benefit to a defined contribution. That maybe gets in the weeds a little bit, but more from a defined benefit where you pay an X number of dollars, more to what everybody else has, particularly in private industry, a 401k type of retirement system where you put in and there may be a match coming from your employer. In this case, it would be the state for our state employees.
Absolutely. Are states seeing success with this solution?
Well, it's hard to move there. It's very hard to move there for a number of reasons. I can tell you in Arizona, we tried to move there, and the court said, you can't take away a benefit that you've already given. And so what we can only do is do it for new employees.
Right.
And so you have to, but you still have these unfunded liabilities. So it's a curve that you have to bend, and that curve to bend to get back to whole being 98, you should be 100% funded. In other words, the money coming in should be available for the money that's going out. That should be that kind of a wash. But that curve to get equal right there is going to take, in the case of Arizona, 25 years to get there, assuming that we hit the actuarial marks that are set so that means the stock market has to perform fairly good when you have an actuarial assumption of 7.5%. Maybe a little bit in the weeds, but there's a lot of moving parts to it. And then you have the people that actually are looking forward to getting that pension.
Right.
And they have a vested interest. But the other thing we're seeing is that the new people coming in at 22, 25, 26 have a whole different view of pensions. I know I did.
Right.
When I was that age, you didn't think about what was going into your pension because it was so far down the way.
Well, and I can say that with some certainty too. I'm originally from one of those states that really has a pension problem, New Jersey, or the funded pension rate is like something like 15-16%, real low number.
Really low.
So I know some of my friends who are going into the public works there, and they're like, I don't know if I'll ever see a pension. Like, I don't know how they're going to end up paying that thing. So it really kind of, they take a different look at it. So defined contribution at that point is a really good alternative for them. Because it's something they know they can actually look forward to.
They can, and the other thing that we're seeing, because the younger generation don't stay in jobs. It used to be,
right.
When I was growing up, your dad and your mom, if your mother worked, they would stay in a job. They'd be with one company for 30 years, get the gold watch, and retire.
And you can't take it with you.
No, that's right now in today's world. 30 years time, you've probably had 6 or 7 jobs in 2 or 3 industries.
Right. I know I can say that for myself. I mean, I've gone from policy to working in bars to being here at ALEC, and that's 3 different steps along the way. So, and I'm only 28. So.
And if you have a defined benefit in the state of Arizona, you have to be fully vested in 5 years. So if you, and we're finding particularly, we look at teachers, for example. Most teachers that are not going to stay in the industry will be out in less than 5 years, and so that money is for them is not really a benefit.
There you go. So just taking a step back from all that for a moment, you're a legislator here at ALEC. What does that mean to you?
Well, I have been involved in ALEC ever since I was elected. Before I was sworn in. I was at my first one was in Washington, D.C. That would have been in 2014. I went to the pre-sworn-in conference that ALEC offers to kind of verse members and what they're going to see when they become sworn in. And that was a day long. I remember that was day long. And that was what I just talked about earlier about all the areas: education, finance, pensions, tax and fiscal policy. That was all forced into one day. It was actually learning how to drink from the fire hose. And that's what happens in the legislature because so many issues come down so quickly. And so they were exposing us to all these things, not necessary. And you learn how to get up to speed real quick. And the other thing that's so important about attending these is not only to be in the sessions, but it's the discussions in the hallway, the friendships that you make. So when you get back to your representative districts, you can pick up the phone, or you've established a social media contact or an email contact that you're following these friends from across the country that you've shared trials and tribulations and successes with, that you picked up at ALEC. So you not only have the learning, the education, the sharing of ideas in a formal setting, but you also have the friendships and the one-on-one. I was a salesman all my life, so I believe I'm one-on-one, face-to-face. And so you know that Joe from Alabama is a good guy, he's a square shooter, and you can call him and say, we're having this problem in Arizona. We know that Alabama has done something about this. What do you think about this idea?
That's awesome. Well, Senator Leach, it's always good to see you out here, and I'm glad we can come to your house for once and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Enjoy. We really appreciate ALEC being here. I know I think it come out every 4 years. We really appreciate ALEC being here, and it's good for us to be close to home for one time. Thank you for what ALEC does.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.